came out tonight, put his stamp on the game. Hit a couple bomb threes that kind of gotten them really loosened up. And then offensively, we were kind of never really settled in. Their physicality bothered us, and so the game kind of slipped away from us in the first quarter when we missed a lot of easy stuff. Went one-on-one too early, just kind of got busted out of any kind of offensive structure. And then we couldn't get stopped. So that was the game.
Seems like people believe that younger team have to go through these before you can get. Do you believe that was the case where guys just not quite as ready for the moment as?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some of that, but we had chances early on in this series to make it, more of an even series. And there was probably going to be one of these games in this series, one direction or another. And, tonight for us, it went against us in a big way. So.
Welcome into a Friday in the King's Court. First Job Friday. We've been doing these fun questions, kind of spurring these stories, breaking up the sports. What's happening, everybody? Sea-Dog, first one checking in. Court is in session indeed. What up, BJ? How you doing today, buddy? You don't see anybody. They're late arriving. Should we hold them in content? That's all right. We're still filing in here on a Friday. Lots to talk about. The NBA Finals are set. Can you do me a favor and let me know which team was down 3-1 in that series last night? What a weird game. How does Minnesota come out and play like that last night? I just don't really understand it. To be completely honest with you, it's just one of those things. I guess they're a young team. Do you want to chalk it up to that? I really don't want to chalk it up to that. I think Karl Anthony Towns is the swing player on that team, and I think that team can be inconsistent when you double Anthony Edwards. But you know what? They've got an offseason to figure it out. They made a good run. And likely they're here to stay. And maybe, just maybe, they have shown us a formula that could maybe change the NBA. Look, bigs have gone away, or teams have gone away from the bigs in the last few years, but teams are loading up. That's two of them in the Western Conference that were both in the finals in Minnesota. And then also, I know we got to wait a week, Zakara. Nuts, right? And then also Dallas, Lively, Gafford. Maybe the two bigs is going to make a comeback. I mean, you got to be able to shoot a three. Maybe you don't. Lively doesn't really shoot the three ball. But what were your thoughts on that game? Here's my main thought. We already know what Luka does. Kyrie Irving might be playing some of the best basketball of his career. Now, I'm not saying there weren't times he was a better basketball player, but this might be the best basketball he's playing, the most comfortable basketball that he's playing. He's found a role that fits him perfectly in playing with Luka. And by the way, that Mavs team, they're not going anywhere. There's only one guy not under contract next year. So that is a team the Kings are going to have to deal with for years to come. Karen, you're warming up, huh? Where are you at? Are you in the cold? Interesting. It's pretty hot here in Elk Grove. Yeah, it's a long week. And the conference finals for both the East and the West were not super entertaining. I don't know what y'all thought about them, but I just didn't find it. I mean, I get the Indy series. You have some injuries, but for Dallas, They could have used that extra 3 days of rest, and that would have been 3 more days we'd be waiting for the finals, as they don't kick off until Thursday. Reading. Okay, very cool. Thanks for checking in. Hopefully it warms up out in Reading. Hey, right off the top, I want to send a special thank you to Sutter Outpatient Surgery. So, for whatever reason, our family has been spending a little too much time in the surgical room, but hopefully we're through it. I had both my hips done last year, right around this time. My wife has had to have a couple of procedures. My son had a procedure about 2 months ago, and my mother-in-law today had some surgery, and everything went wonderful. They treat you so well over there. So thank you all very much for taking care of the people that are closest to me. Means the world. And show them some love if you have them as an HMO. Cools? What do you mean cools? You mean cools? I don't know. What do you mean by cools? Seems like a lot of people are picking the Mavs early. Am I missing something? Seems like the Celtics have been the team all season and might get Porzingis back. Yeah, they've got a little bit of the Kings in them, Connor. That's the problem. They're just, look at how many games this playoffs they've lost at home where they've been favorites. I believe the first 2 series, they had a couple of those to teams they were much better than. I mean, not even close. So at times they're disinterested to me. I don't really feel like they've been, okay, it's hot. Okay, trying to cool. I got you. Trying to cool down. My bad. Read it wrong. Thanks for correcting me. The Celtics, I'm not impressed. I'm not, until I see him get over the top, until I see him have a little bit of that killer instinct, which I don't think they have. They had a little bit more of it at the beginning of the regular season and even through the regular season. But it kind of feels like, you ever seen the movie Dodgeball, where it's like, we're Globo Gym, we're better than you, and we know it, right? Like, it feels like the Celtics have a little bit of that mindset. They're not talking about who may be next. They're bickering in Boston. I like that. They're bickering about, oh, well, should Jaylen Brown have been the MVP of the finals? Is Tatum getting slighted? When's he going to get his run like MJ and everybody else? It's like, chill. You guys need to win a championship first. But here's the deal, C-Dog. You bring up a great point in this with Porzingis. What is Dallas going to do to guard Porzingis? That means one of those bigs is going to have to come out. And that might be a little difficult for them. And really, the Celtics hold the key to that series in the way they play offense. The Celtics, if they let Dallas, or if they just take threes and they don't make Dallas work on defense, don't make Luka work. Jay brought that up last night. I brought that up yesterday. Luka has been kind of hanging back, playing some free safety. What else has he been doing? Almost a defensive 3 seconds every now and again. You got to make him work. You got to make him work. He works hard enough on offense. Dallas was able to hide him a little bit on defense this last series. Also, the same goes for Kyrie. So if Dallas just rests on the 3 ball and the ball movement does not get going, then that's going to be a problem for them. And to me, Dallas is a team right now that's playing better than what their roster is. They're the best team. They're not the most talented team. They're the best team right now, in my opinion, in the NBA playoffs. They play like a team. Everybody touches the ball. Kyrie and Luka, unstoppable right now together. Kyrie and Luka outscored the T-Wolves last night at halftime on their own. Luka outscored the T-Wolves in the first quarter on his own. How that happens in a win or go home game, I don't get. If I'm a Minnesota fan, I am pissed. And what's Minnesota going to do with Towns? He just feels like that awkward piece that maybe they can't get rid of. I mean, sometimes Towns is great, and I like passion, but dude, don't tip a ball in and bow up when you're down like 34. It's just like, I don't know. I don't get it with him, but I still think Dallas, for me, is the pick until somebody tells me different. And here's the other thing. Coming into last night, only 0.1 of a percentage separated the way Dallas and Boston shoot the three ball or have shot the three ball in the playoffs. Also, here's a thing to think about. Those two teams played in January and played in March. So they really have not seen each other since Dallas made the big moves at the trade deadline. So we'll see how that plays out. It's kind of convincing right now if you look at the way those first two games went. On average, the Celtics 18 and a half points better per game than Dallas in those first two meetings. So it all comes down to if Kyrie can keep his head, and Luka's got to be able to keep his head as well, because the Boston media, Grant brought this up. I think Jay brought it up last night too. The Boston media is going to be brutal and all over Kyrie, but he kind of seems like he's at this zen point right now. He's really happy with basketball. So who knows? Maybe he will be a little bit different. Let's see. Yeah, it could 100%. You know what I'm trying to do if I'm Boston? I'm going to be running a decent amount of pick and roll if I can. And with Porzingis, you can do that all day. Now, it depends on what Boston or what Dallas is going to do covering the pick and roll. Last series, Indiana, for whatever reason, they went with the ball handler and they did not worry about the trailer. And the trailer, the picker, was half the time Jason Tatum. So you can't leave that guy open. Finchy checking in on a Friday. Happy Friday, buddy. Hey, so if you are just joining us, we've got 80 that are already here or have checked in at some point. It is a first job Friday. I want to hear about what your first job was. Everybody's first job was always a little bit interesting. What was your welcome to the workforce moment? I'll share mine a little bit later in the show. Adam, my man, dude, MC, thank you so much. Yes, hit the thumbs up button, means a lot to us. And also, you can call the show 916-399-3748. You can also, check this out, call through Restream if you want. Video not necessary if you don't want to be on camera, but we can go whichever way you want to go. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. Mike Brown, we're getting some more details on his asking price. I don't think it's unreasonable. Grant and I talked about it yesterday. I think it comes down to the years, really. He's looking for about 3 years. That's on the borderline, because that puts you out about 5 years, because he's got one guaranteed and then an option. So is Vivek going to go for that? And we can talk about some of the money that other head coaches are making in the league and compare it. I mean, really, for what Mike Brown's asking, I think it's really fair. I do. If any of you think that it isn't fair, let me know. We can talk about that. Reynolds Recycling, first job. So, Karen, did you ever have knuckleheads that like tried to put the rocks into the cans or like try to get anything past you guys? I'd love to know that. Let's see. John saying, watching hockey, golf. Yep, there you go, dude. Enjoy. Lots of stuff. Adam, first job. Boston Market in Roseville. Is Boston Market still around? I know they used to have one off of, is it Fair Oaks and Howe? Right over there, I think. I think it's off of Fair Oaks. But I think I've only eaten there like once or twice, because I used to live out in Fair Oaks. So I would take Boston Market over KFC every single day. Every single day. Zakara hopping back in. Famous footwear. There you go. There is actually a famous footwear that is still here in Elk Grove. How about that? So, what was the deal? Any good stories from famous footwear? I think that's where I used to go get those. Remember those sneaker balls that you put in your sneakers to make them not smell so bad? Yeah, Sea-Dog, big hockey game tonight. Edmonton and Dallas. I'm going to be looking forward to that one. Adam, my man, your boy, your boy, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, back in the news, and it is not good news for him. If you know about Vince's civil suit, absolutely horrific allegations. Horrific. I'm not going to go into them here. The Justice Department has reportedly asked the woman, Janelle Grant, who brought the lawsuit, to put it on pause. What's that mean? That probably means that they might be going after the old man. That is, you know, uh, if any of what was in that civil suit is true, I don't understand how you couldn't go after him. So Johnny was a paper boy. Okay. So the reason that this came up was actually last night. I think I've told everybody I've got a group of friends across the nation. We do this app called Marco Polo, and it's kind of like FaceTime, but you can leave each other video messages, etc. This haunted horse guy, it's one thing where it's like, hey, dude, can I come on the show today? Of course you can come on the show today. And now I'm getting text messages. The link doesn't work. What is going on with you, haunted horse? Haunted horse, I will get that in a second. Haunted horse, hop in here. I'm gonna put it back into the chat. That should be able to get you on. He's saying sorry. You're good, brother. I'm just busting your chaps. Try that. Try that one. That should get you on the air with me. You broke my train of thought. What were we talking about now? I was talking, Paperboy. So Marco Polo. And a couple of the guys in the group said that they were paper boys. And because I knew like kind of their personalities, I'm like, there's no way you guys didn't play games with those papers. Like, who can hit the doorstep closest to like the door, like all those different things. So fun stuff. Speaking of the devil, it is a Friday treat coming to you in 1080p. Oh gosh, here we go.
I am scrambling, dude. I tried to make it for the open. It was not happening. What's up, everybody?
What's up? What are you doing?
I've got family in town, so I'm gonna do my Friday spot here. It's my new thing. 3 Fridays in a row, man.
3 Fridays in a row.
Do my Friday spot here, and then I am gonna get to the family. Got the parents up from the Bay Area, so.
Lovely. So did they bring you some gym boys?
They didn't. They went through TSA and, you got to go through the scan or whatever. And they go, hey, what's this? And they're like, Gym Boys tacos for our son. They go, no, I think they got to stay here. And they ate them right in front of them. It was pretty rude.
Gosh, man.
Bullshit TSA.
There's probably a grease drip line just following the TSA.
Right, that orange grease, man.
So, all right. It is First Job Friday, dude. What was your first job, and do you have any funny stories from it?
Burger King. I do have a funny story. So I am Gen X, born in 1969. And
was that the summer of 69?
The summer of 69. Yeah, I was conceived in 68, born in 69. Anyway,
thanks. I didn't know that's how it worked.
I was 10 days old when we landed on the moon, man. So I was there. I was 10 days old going, ooh, look at the moon. Okay, so first job, Burger King. I was raised, 2 blue collar working class parents. And I had an interview, and it was going to be after high school. So I got off of school, and I had this old, like 74, what was that thing? Anyway, this old beat up big boat car. It had a 354 barrel engine. Buick LeSabre. That's what it was. Big dent in the side. My dad paid like $400 for it, and that was my first car. So I had to drive 10 miles to this Burger King interview. And halfway there, the engine light came on and it said, engine overheating. And I had an appointment. And I'm like, oh, shit, I can't be late for my interview or I'm not going to get it's Burger King, right? But as a 17-year-old, I'm thinking it's very important to make a first impression. So as I pulled up, there was smoke coming out of the engine and I blew the engine getting there. And the manager thought that was so cool. that he's
So
like,
cool.
you're
Yeah.
hired. I'm not even going to interview you. If you destroyed your car trying to get here on time, you got the job. So my dad actually rebuilt it, got it rang yet. I guess I bent one of the rods in there. But yeah, so that's my story. Blew up my car to try to get to this important Burger King interview because, that probably would have been the only job I could get.
Dude,
I couldn't go to McDonald's or Taco Bell or.
I'm telling you, home of the Whopper, man. I heard they have
Yes.
good retirement. I mean, did you get like employee meals or
Got
what were you
meals,
doing there?
yeah, free
You got
meals.
free
And by the
meals.
time you've eaten, 6 months of free Burger King meals, you start getting, you're so sick of the basic stuff. You start getting like a double Whopper with cheese, and then you're like putting like mozzarella on it instead of cheddar, and you're putting like a cup of pickles. You're just trying to make it different. Just something different. Barbecue sauce. I mean, anything. So yeah. I couldn't eat Burger King after that job. I couldn't eat it for like 7-8 years.
Dude,
I couldn't smell it. I couldn't eat it. And then, I like it again now.
I don't like Burger King. I can't do it anymore. We used to have 99-cent Whoppers. Like, and Burger King was not too far from my parents' house. So, like, as a kid in middle school, you'd hit the donut shop, you hit Burger King on the way to school, get a Whopper. For whatever reason, you know how your taste changed as an adult? It just flipped over. And it's like, that is one of the places that's a no-go.
My favorite fast food burger, and that doesn't count Five, that next tier of Five Guys. Well, In-N-Out probably qualifies as fast food, but Wendy's is probably my go-to burger. I like Wendy's. That. I like that fried, square, whatever they do. I think what it is they use fresh patties, not frozen. Burger King's frozen. You throw the hockey puck on the little frame broiler, and it goes in frozen, solid, and comes out the other side. But Wendy's, those are fresh. That's fresh. It's never frozen. They flip it, and I'm not trying to. It's just my taste. I like that flavor.
I like that fresh flavor too. I just don't know if I trust Wendy's with a fresh burger. I have a terrible Wendy's story, by the way. I think I told you this
under the heat lamp for like 10 minutes before they give it to you. Or 20 minutes?
Just maybe they're a week old, like they're not being stored properly. In fact, we were, if you're eating lunch, you might want to turn this off for a second. But
Karen likes veggie burgers. She thinks burgers are gross. You know what? If there's a veggie burger that tastes good, I'll eat it, but most I've had have not tasted very good.
Yeah, you're getting a ton of reaction, actually.
I saw that. That's funny. Good job, Adam. I did flame broil the LeSabre.
How many of your checks did you use to pay your dad back?
I got that car for free. I bought a car for my aunt. My next car was a Pinto station wagon, and I gave her $1,000 for that, and I paid her $100 a month for that.
There you go.
And I lived in that car when I got thrown out of the house. As you know, I don't know if your audience knows. I got
I don't leave the shows with why you got
yes. House. But I don't know if I've ever talked about it. Here's my point.
Well, take the stage.
So I got the time I was homeless. Yes, my dad married the stepmother bitch from hell. I can say bitch here, right? The bitch from hell. And my whole senior year, we were living there, and she was just the bitch from hell. We moved into her house, which was the first mistake. And she acted like it was only her house. And so, like 2 weeks before graduation, my dad goes, okay, when you graduate that following Saturday, you need to be out of the house. And so I graduated thinking nothing of it. Like, whatever. The old man's, full of shit. He's trying to get me to pay attention or act up, act, better or whatever. And sure enough, that Saturday comes up. I wake up. I get in the kitchen. I start looking around. He goes, okay, so you need help with your stuff?
No.
And I'm like, being an 18-year-old smartass, I'm like, no, I got it. I've already started packing. I'm like, oh, frick. So I loaded everything I could think of in that station wagon. And he thought I was going to drive down to the Bay Area to live with my mom. I had a girlfriend in Portland, so I was not leaving. And I lived in my car for 5 months. And apparently he and my mom talked. This was before cell phones, folks. So apparently I'd call my mom once a week to let her know I'm okay from a payphone collect. And apparently she kept saying, your dad is so worried. I'm like, good. That was the wrong thing to tell me, Mom, because the more he was upset about it, the more I was going to do it. So, yeah,
Unreal.
I made it pay.
Unreal.
I was living down by some railroad tracks in some warehouse district. My mom thought I was gonna get like knifed or something.
You probably
Best summer of my life, dude.
dude, you probably had fun. I mean,
It was
you know
awesome.
what? So one of my cousins, he converted one of those Mercedes Sprinter vans, and it's
That's why I
so
drive
cool.
for work. That's why I drive
Yes.
for work.
Yeah, you're a Mercedes guy, but it's so cool. We would actually, Jen and I, we're definitely doing that once we're retired, whatever. Just go somewhere. You don't know where you're going,
Yeah.
but Mark, my go-to donut. I probably am gonna disappoint
Ooh,
you here.
donut.
Maple. It's maple.
Donut.
The maple bar, not too bad.
You know what my favorite donut is? A sugar donut. A plain old sugar with the granulated sugar. I just love it because it tastes the dough. I just love that.
Okay, so that's why you like it. It's naked, basically.
Yeah,
You know,
with
it's
the
straight-
granulated sugar. That's my favorite donut.
There you go. Adam's right. That old school chicken sandwich holds up for
That
sure.
long, that
Yes.
long oval one. Yeah, I used to eat a lot of those. That was my
Yeah.
favorite too. I put tons of mayonnaise on that thing too.
Adam, I'm pretty sure that Wendy's didn't give you the vanilla Smirnoff. And first off, that is a terrible idea to mix vanilla Smirnoff and probably one of those Frosties. So really quick, Susan saying or Karen saying the Impossible Burger. I do like the Impossible Burger.
You know, our
for
friend
sure.
Tyler went to Wendy's for the chicken when we were all doing this chicken challenge.
Yeah.
And he opened up the chicken sandwich and it had a tomato with a bite out of it.
Oh, I can
That
top
was Wendy's.
you. I can top you on this one. So we
I don't want to be topped.
it was the summer of like 2004. I think I was here working out with
God,
Albie
you remember
Akani
the
for the
day.
summer. Oh,
Must
I do.
be bad.
It's
It
bad.
must be bad.
I've never eaten there since.
What, a maggot in it or something?
Nope.
Oh.
And so we had some ladies over. My parents' house was always kind of like the place to hang. And so we had some girls over, the guys were over, we're chilling, and it's about midnight, and it's like, we're hungry, you know? So Wendy's was, I don't know, maybe like half a mile from my parents' house. And so I get a crispy chicken sandwich with extra tomato because I love me some tomatoes, right? And so we get back home and we've got the lights down because we were watching a movie and I'm eating and I'm like, holy crap, how much tomato did they put on this like sandwich? Because the texture was not right. And so I turn on the lights. It is a completely raw chicken breast that is breaded.
You told me this story.
Raw.
Yes, I remember
completely
now. Yes.
raw. And so
That's
at the time,
disgusting.
so that summer I was taking torts in law school. And so I should have known better than that. Or I was taking classes towards law school. I was taking torts. And anyways, one of the guys in the class with me, he was over. He's like, dude, just follow my instruction because his dad's an attorney. And I'm like, okay. And so we get back to Wendy's and they absolutely knew that it was their fault, but they're like, oh, just give us the sandwich back. Like, let us have the sandwich so we can show it to the manager.
Sure, I won't.
Yeah, right. And so my buddy's like, no, you're not getting the sandwich back. We're taking pictures of it, yada, yada, yada. And so the car behind me was also filled with a bunch of our friends, right? And I'm puking my brains out probably because of the thought of it.
I would imagine a subliminal. Yeah.
And so the car behind me pulls up that's full of all the dudes and they start talking to them as well. And they're like, oh, he's fine. He said, just give us like a few Frosties and it'll be all smoothed over.
Yeah,
right?
Give it to us.
Yes. And so anyways, the corporate called me the next morning. They're like, did you go to the doctor? Did you do this? And it's like, no, but I'm never eating there again. Well, we're going to send you $50 of gift cards. Right. And I'm like, okay, well, up until his death, my dad's friend who was actually teaching the torts class, he went to Harvard Law. He used it as an example.
What not to do.
Yes. Correct. Because he said if you would have responded to them just on the spot and said, I don't want $50 of gift cards, I want $25,000. He goes, they likely would have jumped at that. And I'm not in the business of gouging people.
Sure.
But I mean, how do you get over a raw chicken breast? Come on.
I think I would be done. I think I would. Yeah. because anytime you go in there, it's like PTSD almost.
100%. I gave
Burn
the
the
gift
place
cards to my family.
down.
Burn it down, big man.
All I know is I got free gym boys and they didn't screw me. I just got a Facebook page created and sold it. So there you go.
BJ,
I got more out of being nice than you got out of being screwed.
I know.
What's wrong
What's
with
up with
that?
that, dude? So
But I was older, wiser.
So for those that don't know, One Haunted Horse is heavily involved with the Jim Rome show, which just made its transition or rolled out on X this week. Dude, you have been a pretty popular guy around that studio lately.
I've been spamming the shit out of them. It's hard to get a tweet read now. There's a lot more competition. So I've had to work extra hard. Yes.
Well, it seems like you're on the nice list. You use
the
one of Jim's
the new
favorite
crew
words.
and the X people hate me because I called them boobs. So
yes, you did.
The X control room guys. Anyway,
John.
Yeah, Jim Rome. You know what? I want to refer to plain Krispy Kreme hard to beat. We didn't get Krispy Kreme in Oregon until like 16, 17 years ago. And when they put the first one in, they had to like rent a parking lot a mile away and have shuttle buses back and forth because it was jammed. And so there was one day where it was snowing real hard. Most people stayed home and I went there. There was no line or anything. And I got one right off of the conveyor belt, right out of the oil, right out of the glaze. And that is a damn good donut.
It's a good donut. Even if you don't get them fresh, it's a really good donut. In fact, we had one on Florin Road in Sacramento. I think it was the one in Arden, I think was the first one. But if you went in there with kids, they used to have like the little, I thought it was like a chopstick, and they would pick one up right as it came out of the thing and like hand it to the kids.
I got one for free waiting in line to get the dozen. So they just go, hey, you want a free donut? And I did. And then I got the dozen and proceeded to go. This was when I was fatter. And I went home with a dozen donuts and gave wife number 2 at the time and said, here, you want some? She had 3 donuts and I ate the other 9.
How many donuts can everybody put away? I think I could, like, if I'm going in hard, I could probably, I think 4 is the max that I've done.
Now that I've dieted and I don't eat as much, probably 4 or 5. But back in the day, I could probably put away a dozen. Now, that glazed donut, there's different donuts, right? There's those real heavy ones. I'm not putting away a dozen of those, but like that Krispy Kreme, they're really light.
Oh, yeah, those are different.
So
yeah.
I could put away a dozen of those, but you know, those heavy cakey ones, I'm only putting away like 2 or 3 of those. And then I'm like, or like jelly donuts, something like that major, heavy, greasy stuff.
Why do I need a receipt for a jelly donut? You ever hear that
when
guy,
I think
Mitch
jelly
Hedberg?
donut, I think of Strange Brew with the McKenzie brothers. Have you ever seen the movie Strange Brew?
No.
It makes fun of Canada, basically. They're Canadian. It's pretty funny. Bob and Doug McKenzie were hilarious in the 80s. Not impossible to eat the full dozen in one sitting. Yeah, right? I tell you what, though, when you do it, you don't feel good afterwards.
Yes.
You're like,
So I've seen apple fritters. Karen put this in. Finchy put it in a little bit ago.
Those are good.
Those are amazing. I love apple fritters, but
Bear claws are good.
I don't love the price of apple fritters at Apple Hill.
Yep.
It is so expensive, but they are so good. You can damn near get a whole pie for the same cost of like 2 apple fritters.
Speaking of Apple Hill, and I'm not going to take, I'm taking up the whole show. I'll let other people in here. But speaking of Apple Hill, I've got home movies, you know, with the little movie projector, and Dad would set it up and we'd watch them, of me in the early 70s at Apple Hill. I can't wait to show you Apple Hill in the 70s because you will not recognize it. There was nothing there. There was like a couple of little shacks. There was that fishing pond that I caught my first fish ever out of. And they had to fill it in. There was a mine that you would go down and they would serve apple cider at the bottom of this mine shaft.
A mine?
Yeah, they had to fill it in because of safety, but you could go down there back in the day and they had tables down there, whatever, and it's super cold and damp. And they would serve you, you know, like apple pie down there or whatever, and apple cider down this mine shaft. So And now it's just, we were back about 10, 11 years ago, and I didn't recognize it. It's like, wow, this place has gone really corporate and big. But back in the day, it was that was the place to go. It was no one knew about. I mean, people knew, but it was not what it was now. Love Apple
No,
Hill.
we were the-
Winchell's. Yeah, I grew up on Winchell's in Sacramento.
We were at Apple Hill for Easter. It was like the week before Easter. They put together this huge Easter egg hunt, which isn't a
Fishing
hunt.
pond.
It's literally just fields filled with eggs. And I couldn't believe all the different food vendors that are there now. They're letting people set up on the sides. They had like grilled turkey legs, all that stuff. It was great. Loved it.
Yeah, back in the day, back in the day, it was an apple orchard first, and it was like a little tourist attraction way down the list. And now it's flipped. It's more of a tourist attraction, and apples are kind of secondary.
Yeah.
But Adam's all bahaha, the fishing pond. Yeah, I've got home movies and it's actually on our show. It's in the GIF reel of when I was 3. I had 3-year-old boys. They have that security blanket, the little blanket that they take around, like Linus and the Peanuts. And I had that, and some stray dog or someone's dog that wasn't on a leash come up and grab the other side of it. And I'm crying, trying to get my blanket back because this dog, and my dad, instead of going over there to help me, he's filming it. Oh, this is great.
Wait, that's actually you?
That's me.
I didn't know that.
My little friend Rhonda, she's trying to kick the dog and get it back, and I'm crying my butt off because my whole world is going up in smoke. He's gonna take my blanket away from me. This stupid dog. Yeah, that's me. That's me. 3 years old. Apple Hill at the fishing pond.
I want to see the baseball videos.
Of
the
me
baseball videos
bailing out on every pitch.
Got to come out. Maybe we'll do those on the King's Court.
I bailed out on every pitch like it was a Nolan Ryan 100-mile-an-hour fastball right at my head, and it could have been like 5 feet the other direction, and I was bailing out like I was going to get killed. I was so scared of the baseball.
I used to be scared of it too. Mark, yes, there is a decent amount of food trucks here in Sacktown. A lot of people. Elk Grove, I think there's like a food truck Friday every month. But a lot of people follow them like on social media and they'll pop up. I know there was a Mexican food truck that De'Aaron Fox really took to this year and got the Kings hooked on. And then De'Aaron wore a pair of shoes like in tribute to the food truck. But yes, there is a decent amount of them.
Corn Dog, I'm scrolling down some of the chat I missed. Corn Dog brings up Voodoo Donuts. That's
in Portland. Yeah,
they are famous. There's a line out the door for that place every time of the day.
So I know you've worked in a supermarket. I want to bring it since somehow we have gone to donut talk now. We were talking about crack. That's what Jim Rome calls it.
Yes.
But anyways, grocery donuts. The only grocery store that I think can closely replicate a donut shop donut is Safeway. Everybody else, they're just a little too off. Like the chocolate's different, the maple's different, the texture's different.
You guys have Fred Meyer down there?
We do not.
Okay, Fred Meyer's got a good
Reading,
donut.
I think, has a Fred Meyer.
Okay, yeah, they've got a good donut. You're right. Safeway's with the bakeries in them. Maybe they all have bakeries now, but yeah.
Cool. Well, you're hanging with the fam this week. I know where you're headed. You don't have to share that, but have a great time, brother.
Yeah. Oh, I don't mind going to the beach. Yeah. So I don't mind sharing that. Beach, Oregon coast, beautiful. And so this is the time of year where it doesn't suck to be up here because the rain, even though we're gonna get blasted with rain on Sunday and Monday, our summers are wonderful. Now, summers in Sacramento are hot. I do not like hot. But when I was down there, the one thing I did like about summers in Sacramento, and I've said this before, we, as a family, when I was a kid, we used to go rafting down the American River almost every other weekend. We would go rafting, and we even bought our own. It was either a 6 or 8 man raft, and we used to raft that thing. And that is good times. That's childhood good times, great memories. I love Sacktown. So
yeah, I've never been river guy. and it's probably because
It's a party though. It's not a river. It's like a
Yeah.
big party.
I just feel like nothing good happens at the river.
Well, back then, you might be right now, but back then it was wholesome family fun.
Wholesome family fun.
Yeah, it
The
wasn't
Sacramento
a bunch
Ocean.
of college kids and whatever. It was, I mean, there were college kids, kids, but it was lots of families back then.
Were you here when Humphrey the humpback whale got
I saw it on the
stuck
news.
in
I
the
don't believe
river?
I was there. I don't believe I was there. But
Okay.
I saw it on the news. He went up the the Sacramento River.
Went up the Sacramento River, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
My parents lived down there and they got a ski boat. We ski in the Delta all the time in the summer. So
Sweet. My dad bought a boat and never used it.
oh wow.
Yeah, he's that guy.
I know that I want one, just like a mobile home or a motor home. I know that I would not use it, but I really the idea of a motor home sounds awesome.
Are you talking about like the big ones, like the
No, medium size, not the huge ones, not the teeny ones, but somewhere in that middle.
See, I want more of like if it's not a Sprinter, if I was rich, I'd want one of those tour buses that the wrestlers have. Those things are like homes on wheels.
But you're limited to where you can go with that. That's the problem.
Well, you don't stop.
You
have a
drive
driver
anywhere. Well,
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
just
I
make
want
the
to stop
driver
in a
drive.
campground for a week, like Yellowstone for a week, and there's gonna be campgrounds you just can't go to. So
that's a good point.
But I get what you're saying. I mean, I see that Journey video faithfully where they're on the tour bus, and it looks cool as the sun's setting, and they're doing all But if I lived in it permanently and sold my house, then it would have to be big like that.
For sure. No,
Speedboats are nice. Yeah. American River is still tons of fun. I bet. I want to get my wife to do it once just because it's so big in my childhood. But I took her on an inner tube thing in the Caribbean, on one of these Caribbean islands that has a mountain and a river, a jungle river, and there were some rapids on it, and she doesn't trust me now because I told her there wouldn't be any rapids. There's just little rapids and some
But
rocks.
are we talking like Pirates of the Caribbean drop rapids, or is it
No. It's pretty fast and it's some white water and there's rocks, but there are attendants on every rock to make sure you don't go into it. And so but she just didn't like it. She felt a little. So there's one falls and they actually bulldozed it to make it safer. It was called San Juan Falls on the American River. And back in the day, in the 70s, that thing would flip. I'd say about 30% of the rafts would flip there. Mm-hmm. And there would be people fishing out stuff downriver, all this free stuff that would fall in the water, and then they would get it and keep it, basically.
So you know what I think you should do? I think you should go on Naked and Afraid.
No way.
I think you should do that, dude. You've got the urban camping experience. You know the rivers. Dude. Just build yourself like a little like hula skirt or something so you're covered up. But
my last thing, remember Florin Mall, that was very family back then. I don't know. I know some areas have turned to they're a little rougher than they used to be or whatever, but Florin Mall, they had this thing. How old's your crowd? They're younger than Rome audience, right?
No, we're all over.
Does anyone remember the talking Christmas tree? That was my favorite thing ever. There's Santa Claus, but I always wanted to go to the talking Christmas tree. There was a Christmas tree with a person that stood in there, and you walked up the little red carpet, and you stood there, and you told the Christmas tree, you had a conversation and told it what you wanted for Christmas. And I've never had a talking Christmas tree anywhere else, seen one other than Florin Mall. So does anyone remember the talking Christmas tree? It was like I waited all year for the talking Christmas tree at Christmas time.
That's great, dude. You're getting an invitation from Finchy, and when Finchy puts out an invitation, he means it.
If you come down for the summer haunted horse, we will get on that river. Yeah, it's all about convincing my wife. That is. But I think I could. And I know San Juan's not as vicious as it was. They bulldozed it and tamed it. So anyway, all right. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm boring everybody.
You are not. It's always fun when you drop in, dude. You get extended run here.
All right. Well, I appreciate
a forum. You can come hang anytime, brother.
I'll appreciate that. All right. I will be back next Friday then.
All right. We'll see you
Friday. You on Tuesday before Friday. But
yeah, tell everybody where they can find everything that you do.
HollywoodRejects.com. HollywoodRejects.com. It's the website because people used to ask where the shows are, and they've got weird, URLs and everything else. So I put everything there, and you'll even see stuff from Rhino there. Shows that we do together. So there you go. It takes you to my YouTube channel, Twitch, where we broadcast live, X, we're broadcasting. Jim Rome stole that idea from us. We were on X long before Jim Rome was. And he goes, look at these two knuckleheads. I could do a better job. And he freaking put his show on X.
Yeah, Napes and I have been on X for 2 years now. 2.5 years. So,
absolutely. There you go.
Yeah,
so
love it.
All right. We had stuff
dude.
on X last night. So singing Christmas tree. No, this is the talking Christmas tree. I've seen the singing Christmas tree. This is the talking Christmas tree. It had in its trunk, it had a mouth that would go the person but in the little thing that I didn't know there was a person there.
Wait. There was a person in the trunk.
Yeah. Yes. The trunk of the tree. And it would move the
gosh.
little mouth and it would talk to you and you would tell it what you wanted. And then it goes, have you been a good boy this year? Yes, talking Christmas tree, I have. What would you like for Christmas? I want roller skates, talking Christmas tree. Okay, I'll see what we can do. Santa and I will figure it out. I might even have a picture of it somewhere in my photos. I'll try to find one.
Yeah, find the
talking Christmas
tree.
At Florin Mall.
At Florin Mall.
Yes,
wow.
yes.
Never would I think we'd be talking about a Christmas tree
that talks.
Florin Mall that talks in
Very
the
70s.
middle or the start of summer. I love
Very
it.
70s. And then I've got pictures of the Easter Bunny from hell from the Florin Mall that looked like the Easter Bunny that dropped acid. It was all 70s looking psychedelic and stuff. It was pretty creepy. I'll show a picture of that next time.
Haunted Horse is gonna bring visuals next time. I love it.
Yes, I will. All right.
Tell the family hi. Have fun,
a
brother.
Weekend, and I'll see you next Friday here. And have a good one. Later,
Sounds
everyone.
Good, brother. Thanks for making it on, dude.
It was fun.
Sure.
It's always a hoot, dude.
All right. Late. That is one haunted freaking horse. My goodness. He is one of a kind. Do you guys enjoy your haunted horse on Friday? He seems to be making a name around here on Fridays coming into the show, but I like it. All right, let's we didn't really talk any sports there. Let's get back on track, which is fine. What red eyes? Red eyes? Me? No, he sucks. There you go. Straight from the man. No, I love, he's one of my best friends. Guy is a good dude. Yeah, Mark, you have no idea. Haunted Horse is dialed back on this show. Like completely dialed back. Go watch him. Seriously, go watch him in his element. And by the way, do you see the King's Court element? It's very chill. You're on the outside of the courtroom. Not a lot going on. You've got the scroll. That's about it. I can change the QR codes, whatever it may be, right? Haunted Horse on his shows has gifts going everywhere. He has things popping on and off the screen. He's got it's a little bit too much. It's a little too busy. He knows I give him a hard time for that, but it works for him, and to each their own. It is his show. Well, it's kind of our show, but it's really his show. He puts in the hard work on that one. Yep, it is Friday and Chill. Speaking of Friday and Chill, so BJ, I saw your question about the First Job Friday. Some other people that weren't around when we did it before were like, oh, we should do that again. So that's why I'm doing it today. It's a little bit slow. There's not a lot going on in sports. I don't want to beat you over the head with everything that you've already heard about up until this point with the NBA Finals. And we have got a week to talk about that and break it down. But Mike Brown, let's get into this a little bit. Some more information coming out on what Mike Brown is asking for with his contract extension. And so we don't know for sure where the information is coming from, but I would bet this show that is coming somewhere in Mike Brown's camp. Because first we get the leak that talks are being tabled, which, kind of set a lot of us into a little bit of a tailspin, right? It's the PTSD. Oh my gosh, I know the Kings underachieved this year, but if we lose Mike Brown, what's going to happen? And Grant brought another side to that argument, and we've heard a lot of you chime in on it. And Grant made it pretty clear he does not think Mike Brown's a $9 to $11 million coach per year. Well, either does Mike Brown. Some of the numbers that are getting thrown around are between 21 and 27 million over 3 years. That would include some incentives. I'm all for incentives. I think that's a great thing. So if that's a way you want to structure a contract, you know why I'd like the incentives? The incentives are a bet on yourself. You're saying, I'm going to deliver. And I think that's great. And I think teams, and you see it more in the NFL that do that. I like to see that more often in the NBA. Does Bennett deliver? They don't deliver, but you might. I know they do to go. You might be able to find them on one of the food websites. I haven't checked that. You know, one thing that Bennett's does that we haven't talked about. In fact, why don't we just talk about Bennett's right now for a second? We'll get back to the Mike Brown talk. Since we are talking about our favorite, or at least Grant and I's favorite restaurant in Sacramento, Roseville, and Rockland, that is Bennett's. This is Bennett's West Side Grill, their third location, located off 65 in the Blue Oaks Town Center. All the great menus, great ambiance. And what I love about the different locations is you're in a Bennett's, but they're all just a little bit different. All beautiful, awesome ambiance. And by the way, sips and taste at happy hour. They have 60 different wines by the glass. They've got small plates that you can share. And by the way, their dining specials, whether it's on the weekend for brunch or dinner during the week, are incredible. About 2 bottles of champagne. Yeah. 2 bottles of champagne and a DUI for $44. No. 2 entrees, bottle of champagne, $44 on the weekends for brunch. And then during the week, Monday night, you can pick from a few of their entrees, and they've got some good ones on there. The short rib, the petite filet. You can get a couple entrees and a bottle of wine for $65. So what I'm telling you is get over to bennettsrestaurants.com. You can read more about all their locations. You can make reservations. You can also buy gift cards, see the specials, and much more. And by the way, when you go in, make sure you let them know that you heard about them here on If You Don't Like That, Grant, Rhino, the King's Court, whatever it may be. Brian and the team do it right at Bennett's. And what I was going to tell you is check up on some of their different locations. They will offer what they call upscale TV dinners. Some of your favorite Bennett's dishes in TV dinner form. So they're frozen. They're great if you have a loved one that can't cook all the time. We have tried them in the past and we really enjoyed them. And then also on holidays, they've got some great holiday meals. If you don't feel like cooking, you can get a family meal, take that home. So to answer your question, Ed, I do not believe they deliver yet, but you might be able to find them on one of the delivery services. Mark, coach incentives relying on players' happiness is rough, especially basketball players. Well, doesn't that tell you a little bit more, though? I mean, if Mike Brown's willing to bet on himself and his players, and think about this, Mike really hasn't got a ton of help for his system, or at least when I say Mike Brown's system, the systems that he's run in other NBA franchises, he hasn't really got many of those players to work with. So can the Kings bring in somebody this summer that maybe fits a little bit more of that build? Can they draft somebody? Can they trade for somebody? I'm not sure, but I do know this. I said it yesterday. I just think it matters. The optics matter in this case. And Grant's in the camp of, well, you can find another head coach. There's younger guys out there that are looking for an opportunity. There's good coaches out there that might want to get back into the NBA. Well, any of those good coaches, they're going to command probably more than what Mike Brown's asking. And as for a young coach, sure, there could be a higher upside there because they're unproven. You don't know what you're going to necessarily get if it's their first head coaching job. But at the same time, not usually do those coaches walk into situations like Sacramento and make things better. You can walk into a Golden State with a loaded roster and make it better. Look, Luke Walton went, I believe his record when Steve Kerr was out because of his back issues was better than Steve Kerr's coaching the Warriors for that time period. But getting back to Mike Brown, if he's looking, let's go on the high side, $27 million over 3 years. You've got a ton of coaches towards the top end, or at least what we think of top end NBA wise, that are making more than that. How about Nick Nurse? Nick Nurse won a championship. He makes $32 million, about $8 million a year. Doc Rivers, another name, he's about $10 million a year. I'm not going to talk about Monty Williams. There's no reason to. That contract is a complete outlier. But then you get to your Spoelstras, 15. He's deserved it. Popovich, 16 out of respect, right? So I think Mike Brown asking for half, I don't think that's unreasonable. Karen says Mike fits the bill. We know. I thought he made good decisions, but I wasn't there. He did make some good decisions. I think he just gave a little too much power to the players this year, especially on the offensive end. Mike Brown is a coach maker. He is. Jordy Fernandez. Mike Brown likes to elevate his coaches, and I love people that do that. I do. That's I'm not comparing myself to Mike Brown, but you notice when Alex, Mr. Moss, Horse come on here, it's like, hey, tell everybody where they can find your material. If you're doing good work, you're doing stuff that isn't in the gray, I should say, then I want to promote you. I want you to get a little bump, maybe expose yourself to a new audience. I mean, look, Grant did it for me. And one of the most important things he's talked to me about, and by no means have I made it, by no means am I anywhere yet, but he gave me a platform to be able to try. And so I want to make sure I pay that forward as well. Grant's really big on paying it forward. And Steve Kerr, when Mike Brown was interviewing for the Kings head coaching job, and then when the Kings met the Warriors for the first time after Mike Brown was named the head coach, he said, Mike Brown will always have a job on my coaching staff, wherever it may be, Golden State. So that speaks tons to me. But yeah, Jordy heads to Brooklyn. How's he going to do? Is Brooklyn going to be aggressive? They're one of those teams that may have some cap space to play with, not as much as others, but more than a lot of the teams in the NBA. Luke Laux moving to the front of the bench for the Kings. And then Doug Christie. Doug is going to likely, from what I'm hearing, and Mike Brown talked about it a little bit at his exit interview with the media, Doug will likely be coaching the summer league team. Yeah, Ty Lue, his contract, what was it, Condog? It's 5 for 70, I want to say. So he's making about 12, a little bit more than 12 a year. That one surprised me. So that one to me was a stability move. I mean, the Clippers did play really well this season. The Clippers were one of those teams that going into this season, when we were talking about expectations for the Kings, we were talking about teams that you wouldn't hope to see in the playoffs. The Clippers weren't on that list. The Clippers, everybody's like, hey, we would love to see them in the playoffs. In fact, the Kings played the Clippers really well the season they made the playoffs. And even when the Kings go to LA, whether it's Los Angeles, obviously it's Los Angeles, whether it's the Clippers or the Lakers, the Kings usually get up for those games. It's like Foxy, Monk. They all love playing on that bigger level or that bigger stage, I should say. So this year, when the Clippers started having more success and obviously James Harden rolls in, I was not a fan of the move, but James Harden ended up playing some decent basketball until, of course, the postseason rolls around. And then he turns into James Harden again. But that being said, they're probably going to be around. They've got decisions to make. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. Now, Kawhi's not this year, but I believe Kawhi will be going into the last year of his deal. Luke Walton on the Bobby Bonilla contract. Yeah, the $1 million every year on the same date. I think Luke is pretty close, or, that's a good question. Let me look at this really quick. I know I have that pulled up. Is Luke still getting paid? I don't think he is, or if he is, it's getting ready to run out. I will look into that and get back to you on it. Ed hopping in. Ryan, did you play point guard? No, I played center. Yeah, I played point guard, Ed. I was the little annoying guy that was quick, that could jump out of the gym, that could shoot the 3-ball well, but defense was 100% my specialty. I loved defense. Like, you think about the movie Rudy, where he's on the scout team and he's just getting the shit beat out of him every single day. That stuff, that would get me going. I loved being that guy, taking charges, diving on the floor. I loved doing the things everybody else didn't like to do. So that's what made a difference for me. So where does everybody fall on this Mike Brown thing? Look, the draft is going to be coming up. They're making it a 2-night event this year. And I think the Kings are going to need to be able to answer that question. If you're going to go fishing, and by the way, Kyle Kuzma was working out with Phil Handy the other day. I really, really liked what I saw. That means he's back on the West Coast working out in the offseason. For those that don't know, Phil Handy, probably one of the best individual skill coaches that there is. Phil's worked with LeBron a ton. He's worked with a lot of the big names. He was on staff in LA for a really long time. But Kyle was working his 3-point game, his step backs. I really liked how Kyle looked for this time in the offseason, and the fact that he's already putting that work in. That guy's motivated. But my guess is, if I'm a Kyle Kuzma, if I'm a Brandon Ingram, and remember, I am not a fan of Brandon Ingram coming in and being that piece for the Kings. I don't think it makes sense. He's a rental. He'd only be here for a year, theoretically. It's just not a good play to me. And the physicality he brings is not much. It does not match up with the style the Kings want to play. You guys can call the show, as I said, 916-385. Oh, I knew I was going to do that at some point. You guys just got the first 3 digits to my phone number, 916-399-3748. You can call the show that way, or you can do it through Restream like our buddy Alex. What's up today, buddy? Happy Friday.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. How you doing? Nice headband.
Thanks, man. You know what? I wear it when I work out. That way the gel doesn't go down to my eyes, so I don't get, styes and all that. TMI, yeah. But, want to protect my eyes.
Good.
But yeah, dude, I've been hearing the show in and out because, I was off today, but I had stuff to do, running errands, working out. Yeah. But I was hearing something about you guys talking about cheeseburgers. Were you having like a favorite cheeseburger or a favorite cheeseburger from fast food, or what was the question?
Yeah, we went off track on that. Best fast food cheeseburger. Haunted Horse says Wendy's. I'm going to go In and Out all day.
Okay, so with me, I haven't had Wendy's in a long time, but I did hear a little bit about your story, and that didn't make me want to have it, often. So, but for me, I'm pretty picky with fast food, but one that does, I don't feel like shit with that. Maybe it's my age that when I'm getting older, I feel like shit when I eat fast food. But with Burger King, for some reason, I always feel pretty good after. I don't know why. Maybe because they grill it. I have no idea. But that's one that I'll eat every so often, and I don't feel too bad, if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah, a lot of people like Burger King. I just lost my taste for it. I don't have anything against it. Adam brought up that chicken sandwich. Damn you, Adam. That's stuck in my head now. They had such a good original chicken sandwich.
No, definitely. Also, too, about the Mike Brown stuff. I've been going back and forth. At first I was 100% on your side. Then I swung to Grant's side a little bit, and now I'm kind of thinking somewhere in the middle, I guess, because yeah, I don't think he's asking for more than he's worth. But I can understand from the owner's perspective, like, okay, we're the ninth seed. Frustration. We were all happy last year. But another thing I was thinking about was, I don't know if you remember, I'm sure you do remember, but it seemed like at a time they were grooming Doug Christie to be the head coach. And maybe that's still the plan. I have no idea.
No.
Okay. And
No.
that's what you think, or you're like pretty sure about that?
I have actually heard the opposite. If they were
Really?
if they were grooming Doug to be a head coach, he'd be front bench. He'd be taking the seat that Jordy's sitting in. I don't see it. I think that
Okay.
Luke has coached. I believe Luke coached the summer league team. Luke
Yeah.
and Jordy. If anybody, I think Luke would be next on the list. Not here in Sacramento, but if you were going to poach a coach off the bench, Luke is probably the guy that I'm looking at.
Good to know. Thank you for that. Now I could scratch that off my list then, because I was thinking maybe I've just been thinking of so many conspiracies of what's going on with them, but that was a big one. So thanks for that. Another one too was I don't know if you remember too, when Luke Walton was the coach, it seemed like Fox was really pushing him. Like, he liked Luke Walton a lot. And I haven't really seen that with Brown. Like, yeah, he's gave him his props here and there, but I haven't seen him where he's like really, really pushing for Mike as he did for Luke. Why? I have no idea. I mean, I know our team isn't the most outspoken group. That's one thing we're definitely missing, is some outspoken leadership, but I haven't seen a whole lot of, man, we got to keep Mike. Mike's our guy, all that. So it makes me think,
Yeah,
like,
it's a good
okay,
point.
yeah, is there stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about? Like, has Fox or Sabonis or Monk have told Vivek during the whole golf stuff, or just behind the scenes, hey, if you want to go a different route, I want this. We have no idea. It's just me coming up with ideas, because I have no idea, obviously.
So here's my take on it. And it's not sourced, but my read on the situation is that if that was the case with this owner, if he was heavily weighing that, I don't think these talks would even be going on. They would not even be negotiating. Now, I can't speak to what's different about Luke and Mike Brown, but sometimes you have coaches that do and don't push you in the right areas. And it could be very simple that Mike Brown's pushing De'Aaron Fox to get out of his comfort zone. I mean, you saw a ton this year. He played without the basketball, which is very different. Think about, like, as a kid, if you have a security blanket and it kept you like comfortable, or a stuffed animal. As a point guard, that's kind of what basketball is at times, because you always have the ball in your hand, or at least you're bringing it up. And the defensive thing, I think De'Aaron was always a decent defender, but Mike's trying to bring the most out of him. And I think Mike, if anything, Mike is he openly coaches the guys, right?
Yeah.
You've seen him pull Keegan out and coach him up right on the sideline. You've seen him take players right under the hoop during the timeout to talk to him about something. And that doesn't always go over well with everybody. It depends how you take it. But I don't know. I just think that Mike Brown at this point, there's no glaring reason not to keep him in place. I mean, we have to remember 16 years. And granted, the Kings probably should have broke that drought. If the COVID year was not stopped, the Kings were probably on track to maybe make the playoffs that year. So that might have gone to Luke. But different things, different styles. I just think Mike is probably the right guy for right now, but we'll see what they do.
Definitely. Great points, by the way. Also, last thing about Brown is, I'm sure you remember that game. I think it was against maybe the Magic. I'm not 100% sure, but Mike and Monk had this crazy tiff towards the end of the game where he basically walked off. You take any grain in that, or do you think that was just a
None.
one-off?
None. You know what?
Okay.
I was going to tell you this a second ago. I'm so glad you asked that question.
Yeah.
I 100% would rather have a Malik Monk and a Mike Brown that in the heat of the moment, because they want the same thing, they both want to win, they have a disagreement right there on the court. To me, that tells me there's open communication there. I will take that every day of the week over a De'Aaron Fox that doesn't talk to the media for 16 days. That to me is not acceptable. So that is more worrisome than a coach and a player having a spat.
Great, awesome stuff, Ryan. So those are my main points of Brown that I was kind of thinking of. So, and if I had to guess, I think within a month we're probably going to get a deal done, and we won't even be talking about this anymore. But we'll see. Hopefully, everything works out.
My guess is with this coming out about what Mike Brown wants, that to me is a tactic to kind of really put the ball in the Kings court at this point, because now the fans know that the number is reasonable. I mean, Alex, do you have a problem between 21 and 27 million for 3 years?
No, especially if it's incentive based. You know what I mean?
Correct.
If that's your ultimate prove it deal. Obviously, he's not asking for the highest paid, and he's not asking for the lowest paid. We're kind of in the middle, ninth seed. You know what I mean? So I like the prove it deal. Actually, I think I respect that.
Yep, for sure. Like a Geno Smith deal. Write me off and I'll write back. I love that.
No, definitely. Also, too, I'm also trying to hope that Monk does stay, and let's just pretend he does stay. Would you rather have, just between these two guys, because obviously I want Kuzma as my first option to go out for if we can get him, but let's say we keep Monk and we have an opportunity to either grab Valanciunas or Jonathan Isaac. Who do you think of those two guys specifically would fit better if Monk stayed?
It's a great question, because it's two completely different ways you're going, and you bring in the injury bug with Jonathan Isaac, and then with Valanciunas, the key to that is Domas being able to shoot the 3 ball. I would probably lean a little bit more towards Valanciunas, just because those two know each other so well. They've played together, not in the NBA before. They've played against each other a ton. I think that those two, especially with the ball moving, is a really good passer. I think that's more conducive. And I think with Keon Ellis kind of taking a step forward defensively, he's not a Jonathan Isaac by any means, but he's shown that he can defend multiple positions. He can switch on to a 3 at times, which helps, kind of the 3-and-D thing. So, yeah, Valanciunas would be mine.
Great. And, about Isaac, I think I'm one of the last people that still have a lot of faith in him. I think just because he shows flashes of, man, that guy could be really good if he stays healthy. You know what I mean? Like when he starts hitting the threes and he starts blocking shots, and he is real springy and athletic. So I think the potential to him gets me pumped up. But yeah, of course, the whole injury thing does puts that into perspective.
I talked to somebody in the know with the Orlando Magic, and this is kind of their last summer to really go out and spend a lot of money, because next summer they're going to have to extend their young guys. It's time for Paolo and everybody else. Yeah. And Jonathan Isaac, there's been a lot of talk or some whispers about would the Magic maybe waive him because of the injury concerns, to make more space if they wanted to go after a big name. The indication I got is they're not waiving Isaac. Even though he hasn't been able to stay on the court consistently.
Great inside information. Now, do you think I'm crazy, or do you see the potential in him too?
100%.
Okay, yeah.
100%. He shot the lights out against the Kings one of the games. It's just staying on the court for him. Yeah,
no, for sure, man. Also, too, you brought up Keon, and I don't mean to drag this out. I know people want to get on here, but let's say Monk does sign, and obviously Keon was a big piece toward the end of the season. Where would that leave Herter with playing time? You know what I mean? Because I feel like Keon's obviously a big upgrade defensively, Monk plays a lot. He's playing 30 plus minutes. So if he does resign, I mean, where does Herter get minutes? You know what I mean? Because I feel like he's one of those players that you can't just plug and play. He has to get in the groove. He has to see a shot going in, DHO or die. You know what I mean? So I'm just curious on your take of where does he get minutes if Monk does stay? And obviously Keon is a big piece now.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, first off, we don't know if Herter's going to be ready to go. That's the
Okay.
first thing that we got to
Yeah.
look at. I mean, he had a pretty significant injury, and he's dealt with shoulder injuries in the past. So, how's that going to affect his game? And he's on record saying this was like the hardest season of his career, just both
Yeah.
on the court, off the court, with the struggles, and the mental stuff. But I don't know where that role is. Let's assume he is healthy. There is a role for it because the Kings do go small sometimes, and Kevin's not a terrible defender. He's not. And you got to remember Mike Brown's rotations a lot of times are matchup predicated. So that's why you would see JaVale McGee over Alex Len some games.
Yeah.
And so that may make a difference where you would see Herter more, a little bit more than Keon. And I think really what you would probably come down to, because you also have Davion, right, off of the bench, assuming that he's here. I mean, really what it comes down to is either Kevin's on this roster or he's part of a trade. I think if Malik Monk comes back, that probably means Kevin is at the top of the list to be traded, but I don't know that a lot of teams are going to want to take on his contract.
No, his value is pretty low. My concern, I guess, for him and his value is if Monk does stay, and obviously, Keon's on a team-friendly contract and he's good defensively, I feel like Kevin's going to get a bunch of DNPs, even if he's healthy. Just like, as you said, matchups. And it seemed like Brown was doing anything he could to try to get somebody else to take his spot this year, too, especially in the beginning. He was just grasping for straws to get a different shooting guard that he wanted to, I guess, be more athletic or whatever the case may be. But yeah, if he is healthy, as you say, let's say he is healthy, I could just see his trade value going lower, just because I don't think Mike's going to play him as much with the other two guys here. Now, if Monk does go, I definitely see a spot for Kevin. I think we're going to run a bunch of DHOs and basically do what we were doing the first year with him. But I am a little concerned with his value if Monk does stay, because, yeah, as you said, a lot of teams aren't even coming for him right now. So what happens if he doesn't play the first few games? And it's just going to be a flyer, you know what I mean? So I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah, 100%. But the way that Mike Brown is, he goes with the hot hand, and you can fall out of his rotation, get another chance, and be right smack in the middle of everything again. So I still think Kevin would have a shot. And in fact, I think Kevin had some of his best moments this year off the bench because it gave him a little, I don't think there was as much pressure on him, because I would say the opportunities he got were limited in terms of what the Kings did for him offensively. There wasn't as much as the DHO that we saw last year. And that's partly because teams adjusted to it and started guarding Sabonis a little bit different. But when he gets into that second unit, and then you get Monk and, Sabonis sometimes doing the pick and roll thing, that opens Kevin up to be a little bit more loose, be a little bit more free flowing. And I could see him having a good role there if he's able to get healthy.
No, yeah, 100%. I could see that too. But like I said, I do still have my worries with that, just because, our roster is a little, it's kind of complicated, I guess. We have guys that do good things, but some of them do the same good things. You know what I mean?
The Kings right now, and it doesn't even, I said this the other day, it doesn't matter that they didn't make the playoffs. Even if they made the playoffs this year and lost in the first round, they would still be in the exact position they're in right now, where you have no backup center outside of Lyles, which is a small ball center, under contract. You're loaded at the 2-guard position if Malik Monk comes back, and they don't have much money to play with. I saw a question in the chat: if Monk comes back, can the Kings afford Kyle Kuzma? Yes, because it would be a trade. So you would either be offloading Harrison Barnes or Kevin Herter's salary parlayed with like a Davion Mitchell maybe, and then a first-round pick. I think if the Kings offered Davion Mitchell, they offered Harrison Barnes and a first-round pick, that would get the Kuzma deal done.
If that's all it took, I would do that today. You know what I mean? But I'm a little worried that it's going to take a little bit more, just because he's not old and he's for the most part, I'd say he's probably in his prime right now. He's a guy that everybody would like to have on their team as far as length, athleticism, can create somewhat of his own shot. Is pretty talented. He goes off sometimes, you know what I mean? Can hit 30 at times, even more. So if that's all it took, I mean, great. I would love that. I just feel like it might take a little bit more.
Well, the problem is Washington knows you have two problems. When NBA franchises know that you are a buyer, automatically you're going to be paying a higher price because they know that you've got to make a move theoretically. And then the second thing is they know the Kings are in love, or they reportedly really like Kuzma. They've been chasing Kuzma, courting Kuzma. And Kuzma's contract, I'm telling all of you, it is so friendly. It is nothing to worry about. Yeah, it's right around 20 and then 19. I think it's 21 and then 19 million. But you have Kuzma, say you got him this year. I think you have him for another 2 years after that. So Brandon Ingram right there, you only get him for a season and he's making $36 million next season.
Yeah, I'm basically out on Ingram now. Just my own thinking and conversations that we've had, with you, with Grant, and all that. I'm pretty much out on him now. I don't know how Kuzma got that contract, or he agreed to that contract, especially with Washington not being that great. But it's a great deal. Now, the last thing I know, like I said, I've been on here a while.
Dude, you're good, brother. I'm going to take a sip of water and give you the stage. Do your thing.
Yeah, for sure, man. So with Kuzma, I think he's great and all that. But as far as what do you think about, or maybe the chat, what do they think about Jeremy Grant? Do they think Jeremy Grant is just a massive, upside player than Kuzma, or do you think they're in the same tier of players? Because Grant's getting paid a lot more. To me, I kind of have him in the same realm of player, but Grant can create his own shot a little bit better for sure.
Yeah, Grant would be a great fit here in Sacramento. You're making the commitment you're making to him with all the other questions you have in the future. Again, De'Aaron Fox, after this season, he only has 1 year left on his deal. So it's time now to start thinking about what that move's going to be. Is he going to be the guy that you're going to sign to a max deal, who probably will be making just as much, if not more, than Sabonis? Jeremy Grant, next season, 29 million. Season after that, 32, 26, 27. He's making 34.2. And then 27, 28, 36.4. Now, I know inflation is built into that, but that's a long commitment. Like, you better think Jeremy Grant, like, if you think Jeremy Grant, if let's say the Kings made it to the second round of the playoffs this year and they played a close series and you knew that they took a significant step forward, then just then you might be thinking, all right, we're Aaron Gordon away. We might be able to swing it. And in that sense, you might be willing to pay a little bit over the cap, but I don't think they're even close to an Aaron Gordon away. They're like an Anthony Edwards away right now. So it's too big of a commitment for me. But some may see it differently.
No, I agree. Unfortunately, I agree about we're not an Aaron Gordon away. But that's where I'm kind of thinking, like, if it doesn't work this year, whatever moves we do make, are we going to blow it up the year after because of the Fox contract? I mean, because right now it looks like we can shoot sometimes, but we're too short on the arms to be long. And we have a lot of matchup issues, it seems like, too. So I'm not crazy with the makeup of the team right now. But even like, I would say, like Sasha, for example, Lyles is like a more athletic Sasha. Obviously can't shoot like Sasha, but they're kind of like the same-ish player. You know what I mean? So the makeup of the team's kind of weird right now. I'm afraid if it doesn't get better next year, let's say Memphis takes a giant jump. Let's say San Antonio takes a big jump. I mean, and we're getting lower, I feel like we might blow it up. I'm not trying to
Alex,
be negative, but yeah, go ahead.
Alex, you have to assume both of those teams are going to take jumps. San Antonio, just with the Wemby situation alone, but they have 2 picks in the top 8 this draft.
Yeah.
And then Memphis, you're going to have guys back. Ja will be back. It's going to be a different team. They're going to be good again. Here's the deal. I think whichever way the Kings go, if they try to go after a massive name, if they try to make a big splash, if they take up a long contract like a Jeremy Grant, that is going to tell me everything I need to know about where they stand with De'Aaron Fox. In fact, I would go even further and say, look at what type of player they bring in. If they're going to bring in somebody, a little Valanciunas that's more, and I know the money there doesn't necessarily make sense. That's like a Malik Monk where constant cutting, and that tells me that they're leaning a little bit towards more of that style that Mike at the end of the year, rather than the style the Kings were running most of the year when Mike Brown had most of a full deck to play with, where it was a lot of isolation ball. So that I just think, this is my opinion. It's not popular. I've got nothing against De'Aaron. He is an amazing player. De'Aaron has had 7 years in Sacramento. It's at that time where usually the Kings, whether it's this ownership, I guess this ownership kind of made a decision like that with Tyrese Halliburton, but it's at that time where you've got to make a move. And I just don't see the Kings going all in on Fox. I don't. When was the last time a guy came up for a second big extension and the Kings did it? I mean, Sabonis kind of the first time, maybe. I mean, because if you sign Fox, you're putting him through probably another 4 or 5 years at least. And you're subscribing to that style of basketball. I think you could get, and especially with the holes that are on this roster right now at backup center, you can get some good pieces. You're not going to get great pieces, but you don't need great pieces because of the other pieces you're building around, like a Sabonis, whoever that big player that you'd bring in, allegedly, right? You bring in a solid, like a TJ McConnell. Think about a TJ McConnell with the Sacramento Kings team. And the Kings have this just giant pot of gold with the pick and roll, and they never do it with Fox and Sabonis, it feels like, or they don't do it nearly enough. If you bring in a point guard that can specialize in that pick and roll, which elevates Sabonis, because I feel like the question that I have asked a lot of people in the know is, do Fox and Sabonis make each other better? And unquestionably, Sabonis makes Fox better, but does Fox really make Sabonis better? Think about it.
Yeah, he's a ball dominant guard. So I mean that's a pretty good point. Now, why do you think they don't run pick and roll? Is it because he just wants to dominate the ball, or what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think it's a want thing. I mean, first off, I don't think, well, Malik Monk, here's the problem. Malik is excellent with the pick and roll. He is great. So you've got him on one side of the spectrum. I see when the Kings run pick and roll, more times than not, there's an opportunity to get the ball to Sabonis if it's with Fox and Sabonis. And sometimes De'Aaron doesn't see that. Now, whether he's focused on getting to a spot or he's looking somewhere else to go with the ball, that could be in the scouting plan. So I'm not putting too much into that, but I don't have an answer for it. Just like Jerry Reynolds doesn't have an answer for why Malik Monk has never started.
Very true. Very true. So my only concern too about the Fox thing, if we did trade him, was Sabonis is my favorite player on the Kings right now. I think he's fantastic. He's great with everybody. He's a good speaker. He seems like he plays a lot. It seems like he actually gives a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the thing with Sabonis is he's getting paid franchise money, but I think he's a franchise player. Don't get me wrong. But and like I said, he's my favorite player on the Kings right now. but he can't get you a bucket when you need a bucket. You know what I mean? If we got rid of Fox, we wouldn't have that guy to go get you a bucket when you need one, I guess. Unless they traded for one, I guess. But I think we would be significantly lower with talent if that happened when we needed a bucket, if that makes sense.
You bring up a great point. The Kings had far too many finishers and not enough distributors this season. But if we're having this conversation under the pretense that Malik Monk is coming back, then I'm going all in with Malik Monk. Malik Monk moves to De'Aaron's role, in my opinion. And I don't think he's nearly the player, that De'Aaron is. But I think with the style, at least the style we saw at the end of the season, which seems to be closer to what Mike Brown likes. And hell, the Kings net rating tripled during that time. It freaking tripled. Like, that's crazy, especially when it was between 0.2 and 0.6 the entire season, no matter what the Kings did, whether they beat teams by a ton or lost by a ton. That changes everything, because then you have Monk that can create a shot. Let's say that you do get a Kuzma. Kuzma can create a shot. Keegan Murray is really working towards that, where he's creating his own shot a little bit more. So Demonis is never going to be the guy that creates his shot. He's going to be the guy that's better at creating a shot for somebody else. But if Domas can just maybe work on, he makes good decisions, but work on making quicker decisions and get that three ball a little bit more in his game, I would just love to see Domas. Like, I would love to give him, poke him in the arm with something that just relaxed him. So I could see how he would play where he's not hesitating with his shot, because it kind of feels like Charles Barkley's golf swing. It's like when he hesitates on the backswing, it's like, oh, it's all funky. But if Domas would just, Barkley, if he's on the range, he's got a nice smooth swing. But then he gets to the, course, and it's like, So, if Sabonis, I think he could be a really good 3-point shooter, and you see teams are going to want to lay off of him. But here's the thing. Again, it's not that I want De'Aaron Fox gone. I'm just being real about the way the Kings have handled these situations in the past. And if that's the direction you might be moving, do it sooner rather than later, because that is when you're going to get closest to max value, when he has more time left on his contract.
You bring up a good point with that, for sure. And you also make me think a little bit more with Sabonis. Another thing that kind of bothers me too is he is a great distributor, but I do feel like he passes it too much. There was so many times when he had a wide open layup or a wide open dunk, and he dished it for a three. I get that Mike Brown wants to spray the three. I heard him say that a million times, but there's some times when I feel like Sabonis left a lot of 2-pointers left to be taken, when 2 is not that far from 3, and some of those threes were missed. You know what I mean? I feel like he could be a little more aggressive with scoring at times.
I put that on Coach Brown. All we heard towards most of the season, especially the end of the season, was spray the ball, spray the ball, spray the ball. And that's the one area people are not talking enough about. If you look at just the Kings' free throw attempts this year compared to their makes last year, it was a huge discrepancy. And think about what I just said. Their attempts this year were not even close to their makes last year. So they didn't get to the line nearly as much. So, yeah, you have De'Aaron that can shoot the three ball a little better. Great. But unfortunately, De'Aaron, in my opinion, brings so much more value to the team using his strength of getting to the basket, because it gets people to the line. It gets people in foul trouble, right? It slows the game down at times when it needs to be slowed down. To me, that all encapsulated is far more important than the extra point that you get for making the three.
No, I agree too. And maybe he was doing that to preserve his body, not get banged up as much. That's what I was kind of thinking too. But yeah, he's deadly when he drives. There was times when he drove that I was like, why don't he do that every single play? You know what I mean? Because he's so fast. That guy's ridiculous. He's a blur. And last thing about Monk, again, I know I've gone on forever. I appreciate the time you put me on here. Part of me is thinking, because I didn't even think about it till you were talking about it a little bit ago, but there was a bunch of games where Monk took over and not Fox. They gave Monk the ball, not Fox. And Monk was the closer, not Fox. And even Fox, he gave the ball to Monk. He said, no, you go close it, not me. And if I'm Monk, and that's happened a bunch of times this season, I'm like, man, this Fox is getting paid a max deal. I'm going to get paid half of that, maybe. Why shouldn't I get that? If I'm getting treated, maybe I can be a max guy. Maybe I can be a franchise guy, because they deferred to him a lot this year. And I know Monk does make a lot of unnecessary passes, makes a lot of turnovers and all that. But there was times when I'm like, man, that guy is taking over Fox's role right now, and he did that a few times. So I don't know if Monk is thinking that. Maybe that's why he wants to get every dollar possible, if that's the case. But he did show flashes of, at one point in Charlotte, not even playing, to last year literally taking over games, and the year before too, and being the guy, the franchise Fox who's getting paid max money, saying, no, bro, you take it.
Well, I don't think it's quite that. I think it's who's got the hot hand, who's got a better matchup. I think a lot of it comes down to, that at the end of the game. And I don't think the guys look at it that way in terms of, like, oh, I should, especially guys like Monk and Fox that have been together for so long. Now, the thing with Monk is he plays against twos a lot of the time. You build up the confidence against the twos, and then you get the minutes against the ones at the end of the game, and you're already in the zone. It's a little bit different, With Malik Monk, I don't think he is not, to me, a franchise point guard. I think he's a great point guard for a team, for a really good team. He could be a great point guard on a championship team, but I don't know that Malik's ready to step into that role, because you step into that role, everything changes. The pressure is on your shoulders. I mean, anything goes wrong with the Kings, De'Aaron Fox gets the brunt of it. The franchise, it's his team. It's not. Domantas Sabonis makes more money than him. The Kings thought it was a bigger priority to extend Sabonis last summer than improve the team and make a stronger run at it this year. So that should tell you what you need to tell right there. So in some ways, it's not fair to Fox. I just think that Malik is perfect for that 6-man role spot, or he's perfect to step into a starting position where he doesn't have to be the star, but you need 18 to 21 and, 7 or 8 assists a night from him.
Great stuff. Now, I guess to that, if it was up to you, Ryan became the GM or the coach, would you have Monk start if he came back, or you want him off the bench? If it's up to you.
With the current construction of this Kings team, he'd be starting. And the reason why is this team, to me, and they showed it this year, they do not have the firepower to come back from behind. They did the year before. So you've got to put your best 5 out to start. You just do. You can't.
Agreed.
Yeah, you can't fall behind. The Kings aren't good enough to get cute with matching up guys for the second unit versus the first unit. Hopefully they get to that point, but they need to. The starters this year many times did not take care of business.
No, agreed 100%. Now, your first guy off the bench, or shooting guard, I guess, is it Kevin or is it Keon? If in that scenario that he just laid out.
Oh, I don't. It would depend on the game, Alex. It would depend on how they're playing, who's on the other side of you. Keon. I don't want us to go too far in on Keon. Here's what I love. I love the idea of the type of player that Keon is. I love the idea of having the way this team is constructed right now. I love the idea of having a 2 guard where there's no pressure to get him into the offense yet. If you kick it out, he can hit a 3. And he's a guy that can defend multiple positions. That, to me, in this system with this roster right now, is exactly what the team needed. And that's why it opened up many doors last year for everybody else when Keon stepped into the starting lineup. Now, that changes a little bit as the construction of the team changes. So I'm not saying Keon's that guy, but you need that type of guy in that position, whether it's off the bench or in the starting lineup.
Okay. Now, I know you do follow Stockton, right? You go to the games a lot and stuff?
Yeah, I covered him this year for sure.
Okay, awesome. Now, did you see this potential surgence from him, or is it something that surprised you big time with
No.
what?
Well,
Okay.
I mean, the way he stepped in seamlessly, that
Yeah.
I mean, the NBA game is much faster than the G League game. It is. And the way he stepped in, and by the way, too, the scouting is much different. It just
Okay.
is in terms of your game scouts. I'm not taking anything away from Lindsey Harding. She was the coach of the year for Stockton. But the way that the scouts scout you is much different. I mean, you will have a beat on somebody very quickly after they put some stuff on tape, and so we're still waiting for that other shoe to drop with Keon. But the one thing that Stockton did really well with Sacramento this year, and obviously it's the same front office, but I felt like both the coaching staffs really collaborated, because they put, instead of like putting Colby out there or putting Kessler out there or Keon out there and say, go score as many points as you can, they replicated real looks. They replicated simulations of the looks those guys would likely get with the Kings, because they're not going to be asked to be the man when they step onto the floor for Sacramento. And then they also brought other guys in like Scal. No expectation to bring him back into the NBA.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Stanley Johnson, another great example where it is a great guy to have around those guys in the G League, not only because he's a journeyman, but he knows kind of what they're trying to do, and he's playing along with that. And so that's why I think it really helped Keon. He was able to step in immediately. But that, I mean, credit to Gabriel Harris, credit to all of them for identifying Keon, the Sacramento front office. He was undrafted. That's a big deal. And as this new CBA rolls out, the premium is not on getting a big three, because you can't afford to pay a big three anymore. The premium is scouting and drafting correctly, and then developing talent in that first 4 years where there's a set pay scale for the lottery picks, because that is where teams are going to be able to make their runs.
Great points. Great points. Pivoting a little bit from my last thing, what is your current thoughts on Cody's title run? I know it's very early. Do you think it's been good? Do you think it's been okay, bad? What is your
I
quick
think it's
thought?
been fine. I
Okay.
think it's totally fine. I mean, I did not watch the last pay-per-view match with him and Logan. And then they changed. Adam and I talked about this last week. They
Yeah.
changed the stip because they were going to do title for title, and I had no idea how they were going to book their way out of that without doing like what do they call it, like a schmoz or whatever. But I think it's been good. I mean, eventually it's gonna. I think they planted the seed. I think the next feud, the major feud you're going to see for Cody is going to be Orton. I think Orton's going to turn heel.
Yeah.
And that will definitely pump some momentum into the title run, because it's going to be a storyline the old fans are going to remember. But then for the new fans or the younger fans, you've got your guy Cody Rhodes going up against the legend killer, the Viper, and those two know each other so well that they'll work really well together. But I think it's been good. How about you?
I've been a little indifferent on it. I do like Cody a lot. I met Cody actually at an event. It was super nice. So he gave me like 10 minutes of just talking, engaging. It was real cool. So ever since then, I've been a big fan of his. But I was super invested in the Bloodline storyline. I think there's just so much mechanics with it and so much buildup. So maybe I'm thinking like, okay, I did give Cody a lot more time. The Bloodline thing was like 5 years almost. So. But I think it's been okay too. I know he has to get his wins. There are times that I think it's just me not having a great attention span with it. But I would like to see what he would like to be as a heel, I guess. Not this early. It's still very early.
It's too soon.
He's your poster boy, but I don't know. Are you a fan of The Boys, the TV show?
What is it?
It's called The Boys.
I've never heard of it.
Really? Oh my goodness! It's basic. Long story short, it's this anti-hero. It's very big. It's this giant show on Hulu. It's basically superheroes. It's a real life version type thing. But they're anti-heroes. They're like this. It gets into politics, and they try to put a good face for people, but they're bad people behind the scenes. It's very good. You should check it out. It's a very good show.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, the main guy on that show. His name is Homelander. He's basically Superman. He's this American stars with stripes everywhere, but he's an asshole behind the scenes, and he's very full of himself. And I've heard people say they need to make Cody be Homelander. And I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of a good idea because he dresses like him. I would not be surprised if Cody's a fan of that because his whole getup looks like Homelander from The Boys. So anyway, that would be kind of fun. I think that's pretty much all my thoughts for today. I appreciate you giving me the time. I think I was on here almost an hour, so thank you for that.
You're good, brother.
Yeah, you have a great weekend, man. It's been very fun.
Absolutely. You as well. Thanks, Alex. Alex, out of here. We're going to wrap up the day with Adam in a second. I want to catch up on the chat really quick because Alex and I covered a lot of ground there. So let's catch this up really quick. Elk Grove High School, my friend. Let's see. BJ, Keepin' Brown, agreed. Mexican Elvis. Okay. Door-to-door salesman, Adam. We'll talk about that in a second. They're doing their job. That's just a tough job to go into. C-Dog, yes, can't stay on the floor. We address that. He certainly can. Steven Adams, Edie's getting some comps to him. I'm not so sure about that. Interesting. Did that just break? C-Dog's always breaking news around here. Maybe the owners waiting to see if Brown can win a playoff round. Yes and no. My man Patrick off the clock. If the delay, Tyson just had a medical emergency, something like a stomach ulcer. So not ready to call him damaged goods, especially mentally. None of you. I don't know what you guys do for a living, but I'm assuming most of you don't do a job in front of a worldwide audience making millions of dollars. That changes everything. C-Dog, if I definitely not JaVale. Definitely not JaVale. Alex Len, I'm a Len guy. I really like what he has been able to do, and he has shown some propensity to be able to run with the guys and a little bit more. In fact, I'll go as far to say his athleticism has improved since he's been in Sacramento. So credit to the training staff. Adam's big Len guy. Adam, I'm going to skip your comments because we're about to talk here in a second. My buddy Darren's here. What's up, my man? I'm going to be hopefully going to see Darren to do some biking here this summer in Idaho. Can't wait. Yeah, the contracts are way too big. Adam, sorry, dude, I'm skipping your stuff. You're saying Houston. Interesting. They do have Van Vliet. He makes a lot of money, though. Working out the details with Monk. Herter needs to drive to the basket. He does a pretty good job of that. I'm not going to knock him too much for that. But yes, that is what you got to do to get going when you are struggling. Keegan, look, what's up, Derek? Welcome to the show, by the way. Keegan took a massive jump from year 1 to year 2. In fact, I would say Keegan's jump from year 1 to 2 might have been bigger than De'Aaron Fox's. So just saying, C-Dog throwing some names out there. We're talking about Sabonis. Yeah, look to keep it instead of passing more. You could say that about a lot of the guys. No, that was not. I think that was actually Adam's connection. Falcon hat. Yeah, Dassault Falcon. What do you think about that, Darren? There you go. Lens. Love it, Patrick. Our buddy Patrick on the East Coast is off. No, Alex Len is not under contract. Len and also JaVale McGee, free agents. Let's see. Thank you. Yes, we are in crystal clear 1080 HP. Speaking of Adam, we're going to wrap up this Friday with our resident wrestling man, Adam in Texas. What's up, dude?
What's up, brother? How are you?
Doing great. How are those wasp stings? You all right?
They're non-existent anymore. We got blasted with some pretty bad weather
that's
this
right.
week
The
out
tornado
here.
warnings. Yes.
Yeah, it was gnarly. So hopefully that's done for the rest of the week, but we'll see.
Dude, I'm glad you and your family are safe. That we were talking about this because I have some friends that are in the Midwest and a little bit towards the South, and like their tornado warnings, like it's terrifying. Like at night, just to hear sirens and you don't know where it's coming from. You don't know. Anyways, you get it.
Yeah. Tuesday morning, I woke up to a tornado siren, so that's always a great way to start the day.
No
Uh,
bueno.
yeah, so that was a lot of fun, but yeah, man. Uh, Man, Haunted Horse, that dude is all over the place, and I love it because that's like right up my alley. And then, Alex started talking about wrestling a little bit, so of course my ears perked up a little.
Sure.
I
Dial
thought
us
Monday
in.
Night Raw started off awesome. I love the Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, Gunther, and obviously CM Punk somewhere in that mix too. So I think you got a real cool little rivalry between those four that they could capitalize on. I still maintain that I think Drew's going to take it from Priest at Clash of the Castle, and
100%. 100%.
yeah, I think they kind of jobbed him a little bit last year, or maybe that was 2 years ago, against Roman when they were in Ireland for Clash at the Castle. But I think this is just setting up Punk versus Drew McIntyre. And I think Punk takes it from him, and we continue that story a little bit. But.
See, what are they going to do with that? Because Gunther has the SummerSlam match.
Right.
And you know what? Did you see my tweet that I put out, like when the first rounds of the King of the Ring were going? And I was like, you know what? They should run the King of the Ring like concurrent with the Royal Rumble, have it peak at Elimination Chamber. And then whoever wins King and Queen of the Ring gets the other shots at the world titles. Because like it kind of...
How many people are in it? Like 8, 16, something like that?
Yeah, well, it devalues
16?
the Royal Rumble, in my opinion, right? Because what's the big deal about the Royal Rumble if you're just going to go win an Elimination Chamber match? It's easier, right? So they ended up, Hunter like announced that like a week or that weekend of the event that the winners of the King and Queen were going to get SummerSlam title matches. And I'm like, I wonder if Hunter read my tweet. What's up, Hunter? You a King's Court guy, Hunter?
Yeah. I think Drew versus Gunther is a great match too.
And that's why I say, you know what? I wonder, to me, this makes all the sense in the world. Drew, Gunther, triple threat, CM Punk also in there.
Yeah, they could do that too. I hope not. I hope that they can kind of just keep those four battling amongst each other, and who knows, maybe even throw Shamo back in there. Dude, you guys were talking, what were we talking about?
Cody turning heel and Cody's run so far.
Someone said something about bumping into, it was Roman Reigns at Disney World.
Oh,
right?
yeah. One of my buddies did.
Yeah. So I was at Disney World in March or February or something. And I was in the airport headed back home, and I see this dude walking past me. And I'm like, he looks like Sheamus. But he didn't have like the dramatically red beard and all that stuff. He's wearing a hat. He was actually not as tall as I thought he was going to be. He's probably like 6 feet. But I walked past him and I go, holy cow, that is Sheamus, and did the double take, but I didn't have the nerve to like go chase him down the airport and be like, Sheamus, hey.
Yeah.
But I regret it. I wish I would have.
As long as you're not asking those guys to sign like 5 things, they're usually cool with it if you're respectful about it. But I know for a fact they cannot stand people that hang out at the airport with like all this eBay merch that they want them to sign and just make a profit off of it.
Well, I was at the Star Wars Cantina in Orlando, and this bartender looked exactly like Drew McIntyre. I go, dude, you look like Drew McIntyre. He's like, who's that? I'm like, oh, he's a wrestler. He's like, all the wrestlers live here. So
yeah, they're always they're always at the park. I know Zack Ryder is always there. Cody was a big park guy before he turned into a star. But yeah.
Yeah, cool. We got on the topic of Burger King sandwiches and
Yes.
Burger King. I'll throw it out to the chat. What's like the single best item from any fast food joint, or specifically whatever fast food joint you enjoy? I think an In-N-Out burger, taco, obviously, like Jim Boys, we already know what's up. I'm a big ground beef taco guy.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
that big long chicken sandwich. I don't know if it gets better than that.
It is pretty
And
good.
Haunted Horse hit it on the head, man. Extra mayo on that thing is pretty good.
I would have to say right off the top of my head, In-N-Out if it's a burger. If I'm going chicken, probably the spicy deluxe from Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, it's a hard one to beat too.
It's so good. Actually, Popeyes makes a damn good fried chicken sandwich too.
Yeah, I mean, Chick-fil-A is like, oh, I want to feel good about myself today, and Popeyes is just like, I want to
Dude, it's
destroy
Chick-fil-A.
my
I am
body.
convinced Chick-fil-A puts narcotics into their brine. Like, I don't know what I do know the
It's
secret of what the brine is. It's pickle
the
juice.
pickle
right?
juice. Yeah. Hmm.
So
Yeah, I've been obsessed with spicy bread and butter pickles lately. I'm not sure if anyone gets down on
I
those,
can't
but
get down on those.
I used to eat those things by the jar when I was about 18, and I think I OD'd on them. So I had like a 20-year hiatus, and then I tried these spicy bread and butter pickles the other day, and holy cow, man, I'm back on the wagon,
There you go. I love it, dude. Well,
or
hey,
off the wagon.
I'm gonna get ready to wrap up.
Cool.
I appreciate you calling, brother. And by the way, I am so happy Liv Morgan is. I love Liv Morgan.
I'm
I
a big Liv.
love Liv Morgan. Love
Yeah.
her theme song. Love everything about her. Like my wife, we were watching Chucky, and she did like a guest spot on Chucky. And I'm like, it's Liv Morgan. Oh my gosh. My wife's like, well, why are you like looking at her like that? And it's like I was looking at her like a spicy deluxe from Chick-fil-A. But no, like I just like her work. I think she's cool.
No,
Does a
yeah, I
good
like
job.
Liv too.
Like her
and-
story.
and yeah, her smooching on Dom on Monday night too. That was kind of a fun way to end it.
Yeah, they cut the feed that I was watching. They cut it off. I didn't get to
Oh,
see it.
really?
Yeah, so
Wow.
I'll have to go find it.
Yeah, your show's like the start of my weekend, and then we sort
Love
of roll
it.
into SmackDown here in about an hour
Love
or
it.
so. So
I love it, brother. Hey, thanks for giving us our WWE update. By the way, those don't know, Adam is the official WWE reporter here on the King's Court. We go over pay-per-views, we go over the important stuff. So well done, my friend.
let's hit it. Thank you, sir.
All right, brother. Be well. Have a
You as well.
dude. I hope no sirens go off.
Hey, I think we're in the clear.
Please.
We
All
had
right.
some more storms this morning, but I think we're in the clear now.
Good.
Thank you.
All right. That is Adam. All right. We are at 2 hours. We're going to wrap it up. I'm going to go see my mother-in-law who had some surgery this morning. Make sure she's taken care of. I love my mother-in-law. She's great. She's one of a kind. But make it a great weekend. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you to everyone who came in. Right, Mark? Right? We joke around like that too. Like I feel like I'm doing something wrong by giving my kid Chick-fil-A. Anyways, it has been a fun week. You are welcome, John. Thank you to all of you that have been here. Man, I don't want to start naming names because I'm inevitably going to leave somebody out, but this community, it's freaking awesome. I love how you guys are getting to know, guys and gals, getting to know each other, getting to having chats, side chat, show within the show. Today was a little bit of a different show, not super sports heavy, but that's what Fridays are going to kind of be around here in the King's Court. Let you guys take it any way that you would like to take it for the most part, except for that stuff, fat Mr. Clean. That stuff ain't going to fly in the King's Court, but all good. I'm fine with a joke here or there. But make it a great, wonderful, and safe weekend. By the way, for the record, to give you my first jobs, because they both started on the same day. I was in between my senior year of high school, the summer between senior year of high school and start of college at San Diego State. And I worked at my buddy's parents' business. That was my morning job, and it was refilling fire extinguishers. Really interesting, really hard work. Actually, really enjoyed it in some ways. But then my other job that started that day was at Abercrombie and Fitch. Yes, I know. I can already hear you typing. Yes, my shirt was off part of the time. Yes, I still smell like cheap cologne. Yes, fitting rooms are disgusting. We'll leave it at that. But good week here on the King's Court. We will be back Monday with the live show. Tune in on Saturday and Sunday. Don't tune in, but listen. You'll get 2 new King's Courts. Those will be a little bit more extended. Those will certainly be more Kings heavy, sports heavy, whatever is going on in the world of what we care about in our sports little bubble, whether it's the NFL, the Kings specifically, any news on Mike Brown or etc. moves, whatever we're hearing, we will bring it to you if anything pops up. And again, there is no King's Court without all of you. I can't thank all of you enough. Make it a great and safe weekend. Tadora, do us the honors of starting us on our way out. Bump us out, Tadora.
Holy moly, Jimbo Bowling.
Fire!
No, Tadora's not fired.
Holy
Stop it.
moly, Jimbo Bowling.
There we go. Go Kings. Light the damn beam. We will see you back Monday, 2:00 Pacific for the Kings Court Live. We will recap the weekend. And then again, pay attention to the Kings Court on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You'll get 2 more this weekend. Make it a great one, everybody. So long.